Okay, taking a break from some of the comic book versus threads. This was one someone threw out a while back. Two really, really great wrestlers. Neither one of which will probably ever get the true love recognition they actually do deserve. One of which, of course, is the late, great Eddie Guerrero. Got to see him, I think, about 2 weeks before he died at a show in Champaign. Amazing professional wrestler and sports entertainer. He knew how to get done in the ring and be entertaining the whole way through. Make you laugh, make you cry, make you hate him, make you love him. Could do it all. Could do some of it in the exact same promo. Because he was that absolutely talented. Of course, he had issues in the past, but it was good to see him fall, and then everyone got to rise along with him. An amazing story. Definitely taken far too early. But it was Bertha Del Rio. If you get the opportunity, go back and watch some of those older promos that he had, when it was like just great level of super ooby aristocratic cockiness, and then he did it with just this little wink that was just perfect. Like the greatest use of a single eye since The Rock. And then he came in as like the $1 million man, kind of Ted DiBiase from south of the border. And then they gave him cars kind of like JBL. And his style wasn't what an American style is accustomed to for seeing a luchador. Very much a ground and pound style. So you've got the consummate, super entertaining high flyer, and this tremendous ground and pound wrestler. Very safe style, very few injuries. He could potentially wrestle for like 100 years because his style is very safe. He's almost kind of like the Mexican Bret Hart. Very safe style, very consummate, nice use of submissions. I do these a little bit differently. I look at strength, who's a strong competitor. Speed, who was normally considered faster in the ring. Endurance, who could go for a longer match. Toughness, this is how well could they take abuse. A lot of it sometimes deals with what era did they wrestle. Then you look at striking, self-explanatory. Grappling, here's your suplexes, your slams, submissions. Here's a lot of that, how's your in-close fighting, high flying. And then I look at it from the ring psychology aspect, where it's, are you over with the crowd? How is your overall ring psychology, and how is your overall mic work? Now with these, it's kind of like what I did the other ones for the superheroes, is if it ends up being like 6-5, the person with 6 more than likely should win. The person with 5, is going to be able to get an upset victory. This is one of those, here's how it looks out on paper. And the reason why you have the matches is because they don't always turn out the way they look on paper. So we'll get right into this. You're probably thinking I'm doing 11, I don't have 11 fingers. Of course, I break this down to the three independent components. So here we go. Strength. Towards the end of his run, Eddie was in ridiculous shape. OSW, I think, did a side-by-side of Eddie when he first came in and when he left. Guy got ridiculously jacked. A very, very strong competitor. Also, was a very quick competitor. Even though he gained a lot more muscle mass, it did not slow him down in the ring. Endurance. This is kind of a weird one. Actually, to go back and watch some older footage, Eddie never really had a tremendous amount of very long matches. Where Del Rio, especially now, is having very, very long matches. A lot of it helps too with his style not being overly flashy. It's a lot more of a ground-based style. It allows you to do a much longer match because you don't get burned out as much. Toughness. This one, again, it's kind of a point of contention if you really wanted to go that far. I'm giving it to Eddie because I had to go back and look at some of the matches he was in. A lot more ladder matches. Even parking lot brawls with John Cena. So he was definitely in a much more physically aggressive style, where you would get slammed out of motor vehicles. You would do a lot of ladder matches. So he had a much more higher physical toll on his body. So going with the physical side, Eddie definitely takes a lead. Now we're getting into the overall skill set you have in the ring. Striking. Yeah, this is Del Rio's got this. He does probably one of the best short side kicks. beautiful snap to it. Looks like it could take someone's head clean off their body. It's like a Mortal Kombat kick to the head. Really crisp. Great use of knees, great use of elbows, forearm shots. He's, depending on your era, you can almost say that he definitely has a Daniel Bryan style. Very much mixed martial arts influenced, very well done. Grappling, again, Del Rio, great amount of shoot, great takedowns. Submission, sorry, Del Rio takes this one here too. Using a cross arm breaker as a finisher, using a lot of different leg submissions. Really, really great job when it came to the moves that Del Rio would pull off on a regular basis. Yes, you'd probably say the lasso from El Paso for Eddie Guerrero when it comes to a submission move, but he didn't use it very often. Where submission-based wrestling was the bread and butter. It's an American term. Was definitely the bread and butter of what you saw from Del Rio. Now high flying, Eddie. Whether it was him doing the helo, still did probably one of the more impressive frog splashes because he got that nice tight clinch and he came out and it was just this really a nice amount of just quick compression then release, beautifully done. So from the overall in-ring skill set, it's Del Rio. We're now pretty much tied up. Overall physical abilities, definitely that's Eddie Guerrero. When it comes to how well you are in the ring and your overall skill set, Del Rio definitely takes an edge with this. I think some of that's probably due to the era that they were in. The time when Eddie was his most popular, that was when the majority of Mexican wrestlers were a lot more high-flying lucha inspired. Where with Del Rio's style, it's a lot more of that, how do you make a very believable sort of match? And he didn't have that really high-flying, flashy style. Part of the reason why he didn't do well in the E is probably due to that. People wanted to see your Rey Mysterios. They wanted to see, on this time, your Kalisto, your Sin Caras. They wanted to see those high-flying moves. It was a ground and pounder. A little bit harder for a ground and pounder to kind of get over, unless you're Daniel Bryan. That and the Del Rio's character, beautiful heel. The best thing about his face work was turning heel on Dolph Ziggler. Beyond that, his face work was bland. Unless they were anywhere like California or Texas. Then his face work, then he was over regardless of what he was doing. So now we're going to the final aspect. This is the psychological aspect of it. Some people have said, well, how am I not throwing booking? Booking kind of falls along with the three parts of the psychological aspect. So again, recapping, we're entirely tied up going into, are you over with the crowd? What sort of are you getting? You getting that good pop? You getting that good heat? What are you getting from the crowd in that music, kids? Ring psychology. How good are you keeping that crowd involved in the match? And mic work. When it comes to cutting a promo, how good are you when it comes to conveying your message and getting the crowd to respond? Over with the crowd, Eddie. Sorry, Eddie. Even if you were to say, well, if you were a heavily Hispanic crowd, Eddie. Everybody loved Eddie. Young, old, doesn't matter what your race is, everybody loved Eddie. Period. Ring psychology. I have to give this to Eddie. If you saw the matches he had with Kurt Angle, where he was able to fake a leg injury, undo the laces of his boots because his ankle was swelling from all the damage, and then all of a sudden have an Angle go to pull it, the boot just slides right off, going for a roll up. He knew how to work a crowd beautifully. Rolling in, tossing a chair at the guy, lay on the ground, holding instead of be like, why'd you hit him with the chair? He just knew how to do it. He knew how to draw you in emotionally into the match. Mic work, I'm going to give this to Del Rio. As much as I loved Eddie, running the mic was never really his strong suit. He had a beautiful amount of charisma, which definitely carried him through any of his promos. But when it comes right down to it, Del Rio definitely knew, once that mic was in his hand, he knew how to take control of the situation. He knew how to work the microphone. He knew how to do a very solid promo. Eddie was a lot of catchphrases. A lot of catchphrases and just natural charisma, and he knew that the crowd absolutely, completely, and totally loved him. Because of that almost superhuman level of charisma. Thinking back, I think that if Eddie would have been in the right spot, an Eddie Rock feud would have been an amazing feud, because you've had easily two of the most charismatic performers in a single generation involved in one match. But, digressing. If Del Rio were to face Eddie, I think Eddie definitely takes when it comes to the overall just raw physical skills. I think Del Rio definitely does take it when it comes to his overall in-ring abilities and his movesets. But when it comes to how does a crowd respond, who does the crowd root for, it is definitely Eddie. So if these two were to have a match, I definitely think on paper, Eddie would probably lie, cheat, and steal his way to a win.